Hey guys, this is Ian,
Ariel.
and we're back to you again with another technique breakdown. Today's technique is going to be a teep to the lead leg or the lead thigh or hip, or like a prop teep, I like to call it. I like to use this technique a lot when mitigating my range and finding my range, my distance, especially when you're fighting like a forward opponent. You want to kind of stop them and force them to reset. So this is a technique I like to often use in those situations. So I'm going to show you here.
Okay.
So again, I like to do this technique a lot from southpaw because a lot of times that left leg of my opponent's is going to be the closest to my lead leg. And a lot of times I want to shut down their rear side. So as they're stepping, as they're stepping for that kick, I can prop that teep. So she throws that right kick, I can step here, Again, she throws that kick, I can prop here. If she's moving forward, I can peck. See, I stop her again. She comes forward. I can peck again, forward. And I like to teep not the leg so much, but more the hip. Because in Muay Thai, especially in Thailand, they oil us up before fights. They put Naman Muay and Vaseline all over the leg. So a lot of times if I go for the thigh more and she steps in, I'm going to slip and might run into something. So what you can do to counter that is you can change the angle of your foot. So for example, righty versus righty, if she comes in, I just step here more and I turn my foot inward more. If I turn it outward too much like this and she steps in, I might slip. So again, I like to go for the hip ultimately because oil and Vaseline is generally not in that area. It's more like on the leg, the thigh area. But if I do go for the thigh, I more prop. I don't really commit on that one too much. And what I mean by that is if she's coming in, I don't want to commit like this because I'm going to slip. So what I do is if she's coming in, I just prop. See, I got her to stop right there. Now I can throw my combination if I want. And again, if she's coming in now more like this, I can pop the teep more. See, I force her to set again. Boom, here, I can kick. Boom. She comes in, I prop. Boom. Again, she comes in, I prop. Boom. She props. Boom. Like that. And from Orthodox, you wanted to...
Yeah, I'm going to show you guys because I also really love to do this in my fights. I like it because it helps buy me a second. The moment that you do that, you cause a hesitation in somebody. You have that knee-jerk. That's your moment to go. So for me, it buys me some openings as well, kind of like just piggybacking off of what you're saying. And I also wanted to add, the hip is also really important, not only because it is more sturdy than just like the quad, but also when you are striking, you need to have a connection between your whole body. Things start from like the ground to your core, up to the top. If you hit the hip, you break that connection, you break the chain.
You force them to reset.
Yeah, exactly. So I will say that sometimes I do go to the quad, but for somebody who's orthodox, it can be effective depending on how you put your foot. So let's stand here. So for a southpaw, it's much better to put the toe inward because of the way he's angled, the way that this open book is. But for the orthodox, I put my toe out as well. So I'm here. So if I'm hitting the quad, I'm actually hitting with like all of the flat foot, and it helps prevent that slippage. But it still is a bit risky. What I want is the hip. That's priority. I really want to get the hip, but sometimes it's not as easy to get the hip. So sometimes I hit the hip and it comes in. If I can't reach it, I just go for the quad. But having it right here in the middle of the foot kind of helps stop them. If you take a look, I'm also bringing my body back a little bit when I'm doing it. So he's coming in. I'm out of the range in case his arms are a little bit long to reach me. Now the last one that I will add is sometimes I also go for that back leg, but I change the positioning of my foot. I'm not going to use the flat foot. I'm actually use the ball of my foot, and I'm aiming for that inner leg inside here. So he comes in. As you can see, like kind of pushes him back just a little bit, and that is my opening. So sometimes I like to ricochet off of this with a kick. So you come forward, buys me that tiny second.
Yeah, and again, we're going to build off of this because what you'll see is this technique is how you establish your distance and range and nullify your opponent's forward momentum and forcing them to reset like we just talked about. And what you're going to find is your offense is going to come from this, because I like to describe it as like a picture that's out of focus. So if I let my opponent get too close to me here, this picture is really distorted. It's out of focus. But now she resets. Now she comes in. Now I can see the full picture. Again, she comes in. Now I can attack. I can kick. She comes in. Now I can punch. I can elbow. I can knee. Everything comes from controlling the distance and range. And this simple little technique and this simple little adjustment will help you control that range and that distance. You know, as a southpaw, again, coming back to explaining for southpaw, for us, it's that lead hand here. She steps in. I have control of that lead hand now. You see? Again, she resets. Now she steps in. Same thing again. See, I'm controlling both. Again. See? I can control here. I can kick now if I want to. She steps in. I can punch now. It's like a prop teep. I'm stopping her in her tracks and forcing her to reset. And I'm controlling the range. I'm kind of keeping her at bay so I can set up my offense.
Yeah, I love this teep. It's probably my favorite because especially with like the longer teep, I don't personally like to push them outside of the range for where I'm at, like to strike. It's effective if they are coming in really hard, but this one's perfect. You still keep them here in that circle where you can
and that's a great add-on too. It's something I almost forgot. It's like if they're moving in really fast, like they're exploding in, if I put a lot into that teep, I might slide off or I might lose my balance.
Yeah.
But if she's coming in like that again she comes in, I'm kind of just posting. It's just a little prop. It's just to hold her there. It's to keep her at bay, at distance, so I can set up. I can use this to move too. You know, she comes in. Now I can buy my time to move. I've stopped her. Because if she's far enough out and I go to move, she can quickly change angles and cut me off, see? But if I stop her for a second, now I can cut my angle. I can move which way I want to move. So again, this sets up more than just stopping them. This, to me, is the whole, this is like the meat and potatoes, you know, the peas and carrots to like the foundation for my offense when I fight. So
yeah, it's a very small movement, but highly effective. It can allow you just that second you need to get like the full picture to focus on what it is that you want to do next. It buys you time, and again, it doesn't push your opponent outside of your range. You can keep them in control. It's also another way to ring control as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's it for today.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.